So the way that we work with our doctoral students is we give them milestones over 3 years. And in the first year, the students are expected to complete their research proposal and defend that. In the second year, we ask them to complete their data gathering and to present that to their community. And in the third year, we ask them to submit their draft thesis. Now, along the way, what we do is we offer them various forms of support. So in terms of the academic journey, during their first year, when they're trying to finalize their proposal, we ask them to present their work in progress. And they can do that either online or in person when we have, like we have this week, a festival week. And that work in progress allows the students to think about their research, to formulate their questions, to give us the theoretical background, and to explain to the rest of their peers how it is that they hope to answer that research question. And that work in progress allows the students to think about how their communication is coming across, and also about the work that they're doing towards getting their proposal finalized. In the second year, they work on gathering their data, and we don't often see them because they're in the field collecting data or starting their analysis. At the end of getting all their data in, they will present to their peers and to really explain how the process of getting that data went. And that is a learning for the students who haven't yet gathered their data, what it means, what the hiccups are, what went well, what didn't. And then in the final year, the students write up their findings, and they often disappear from the classroom because they're busy trying to figure out how to do the analysis and the write-up. During the festival weeks, we ask our students who are going to graduate to present their whole research project. And for new scholars coming in, it's very useful to watch how their peers have found a research question, put a theoretical framing on it, and then seen the research project through to conclusion. So one of the ways that we scaffold the learning of the students is for them to hear from their peers. But the thing about doctoral study is it's not like a master's degree on steroids. What happens in the doctorate is that you have to come up with original questions to ask. And the questions that you ask about management have to matter to management. And the questions that you ask have to come out of the existing literature that we know. So to that end, to expect the student to come into the doctoral program and to deal with all of that in 1 year to finish their research proposal is quite a big ask. So what we've done is to introduce a year naught at the doctorate. In this case, the MPhil that I lead is the MPhil in evidence-based management. And what that does is to allow the students to read the literature, become familiar with methodology, and to, through a highly supported learning program, find a proposal that they think that can work for their doctorate. So the program is incredibly supported. It's supported on 3 fronts. The one is in the teaching front with the faculty. The second is through their peers, who often provide both social support, plus moral support, plus figuring out support. And then the students are also assigned a supervisor who guides them through their research that they conduct in the MPhil. So the feedback that I get from students is they feel incredibly supported, not only in their intellectual journey, but also in their whole person journey.
At the time that I took over, if you wanted to get information about business in Africa, Boston was a really great place to look. London was a really great place to look. And in Africa, there was very little research about what's happening in Africa, and it really bothered me. Because if you think, especially Johannesburg, I mean, this is the city of gold. This is for long the economic heartland of Africa, not just South Africa. And we should be part of that conversation. So since I've started the doctoral program, I've really focused on making sure that we focus on Africa, the stories of Africa, how business is done in Africa, and on making sure that we allow people to use their voices as Africans. So we've had people who did research on Ubuntu, for example, or on stokvels, topics that you're not easily going to see elsewhere. What we've also done, because global knowledge is a global process, you can't do knowledge just for your village. You need to create new knowledge that will matter to the world. So we deal with topics that are important for the whole of the world. At the moment, we have the climate crisis. We've got a crisis of fake news, for example. But we take from our perspective, what can the world learn from being an African? Along the way, we've had to work with doctoral students who very rarely had the privilege of studying full-time. It's the norm in the rich countries that you get a stipend and you do your doctorate over 4 or 5 years, that you do nothing but your doctorate. In Africa, we're just too poor to afford that. As a university, we couldn't possibly pay that kind of money. And as a person with some skills, your family expects of you to go out and make some money. So most of our students are full-time professionals who get up at 3 or 4 in the morning, who give up their weekends, their holidays, who work really hard to come to grips with this very complex process of knowledge creation. What I love is that is a huge cost on them personally. They get exhausted towards the end of the program. But because they themselves are still working practitioners, they have to run to board meetings and they have to submit annual plans. The research that they conduct is not ivory tower research. The research that they conduct is really informed with the challenges that they need to solve. So as I've been working with the doctoral students, I have been humbled by the commitment of our students, the quality of our students, and the willingness to really grapple with big questions. It sounds so high-flying when you do it. What I say most of all, and my doctoral students will laugh if they hear this video, what I say most of all is focus more. You need to focus more tightly. You can't have this big topic. What about performance? What about sustainability? So the process is a very detail-oriented, very granular, very narrowly focused one. Our students often speak about having to learn to read and write in a different way, like they felt illiterate. They often speak about the need to become humble. They often speak about discovering how much is already known and a sense of awe and gratefulness for what came before them. What I love is there's also a sense of, as Africans, we have the right to have our own voice and to make our own mark in scholarship. And I think as the program is maturing, as our students become communities of people who support each other, I'm really delighted at the way that the program has just been taking off and producing graduates who are making their own mark in the world, and research that is changing some of the ways we used to see the world.
I am an alumni at GIBS. I completed my PhD here in 2018, started in 2013. We were one of the first intakes, one of the first of a new form of intake that GIBS started. One of the biggest things that stood out for me about the PhD program at GIBS was how much support you get compared to some of my friends who were doing other PhDs at other universities, where, from what I've been told, you get allocated a supervisor, you interact with them, you prepare your proposal, you defend it, and then you're all alone, and you do your research and you write up and get examined. At GIBS it was completely different. First of all, we had a coursework component which allowed us to get to know a lot of the other students and the faculty as well. And then after that, GIBS made sure that every so often we all got together and spent probably 2 weeks or a week or 2 weeks together. And there were a lot of team building events. In the beginning it actually felt a little bit forced and like we had to do too many things. But afterwards we realized the wisdom in what they'd done is that they had created an entire support structure where we could rely on each other and didn't have to have this lonely journey through a PhD. They also had coaching for us. We got allocated a coach who would check in on our progress, help us set goals, and really help us get through what is a very difficult program. It's a complete roller coaster emotionally. There's good times, there's terrible times, there's times you think you're going to give up, and other times you think, oh, maybe I can make it. So I must say, I think they did really, really well the way they supported the students.
And I was invited here to take part in the Doctoral Festival here at GIBS, and it's been an exciting week, and it's been a great opportunity to be here. To me, the highlight has been to listen to the research presentations by the doctoral students, to really hear the passion and the interest behind the work that they do. You know, the idea of not just doing research for the sake of doing research, but to really try to address real opportunities, real challenges in the business environment and the broader environment, not just in South Africa, but for the continent and beyond. So just kind of seeing what people are interested in, seeing works in progress to be able to provide feedback and say, how do we continue to make the research progress and venture better, has been a really neat opportunity.
Oh, quite a lot. You come here, you think you know a bit, and then when you meet the exact experts, that's when you realize how much you don't know. But it's a very exciting journey. It's a very exciting journey so far. We're learning every day. We're learning from each other. We're learning from colleagues. So it's very exciting.
It's been extremely humbling. I think if anything, you realize how little you know. And that humbling process makes you want to search more for the information and not be kind of almost making assumptions about things in life, and really to go and find the facts and look at what information from different sources that you would get that will shape how you see the world and how you see things. And so I think it's really shaped the way I think about the world, and not to just make assumptions about life, people, things in the world.
Look, in many ways, because the program gives you quite a lot of ways to look at one particular program, and the different lecturers, the faculty members that we have, they each have their own way of teaching, and then one has grasp quite a lot of method of how one can approach a particular program. So there's quite a variety of how one pivots in terms of thinking because of this doctoral program. You approach one a program in a challenge in many different ways.
You need to know why you are here, because it gets very tough along the journey. And what you set yourself as a goal, I believe is one that will keep you motivated throughout. And also, we also learn from each other's experiences as colleagues. So that's one thing I didn't know when I came here. I thought I'm just going to be amongst the people who are all running, but you soon realize that it's your own journey. It's not a group's journey.
Yeah, I think it is really, what a lot of people don't understand, and certainly what I didn't understand, was the hard work, the amount of time you have to put in, the wrestles that you will have. Everybody tells you that you will have wrestles in the journey, but you underestimate that. You think, well, how hard can it really be? Especially when you're coming out of a master's degree. You think, well, it's just one extra step, but it's not. It's not. It really is. If you've climbed Kilimanjaro, it's now taking you to Mount Everest. And it's challenging you at every level, at your emotional level, at an intellectual level, at even personal level, because you find times where you have to really dig deep to continue.
I would imagine that's an individual issue. However, what most people don't understand, having gone through this journey for the past almost 12 or 8 months, is that this is a very rigorous journey. It needs a support, and which is what we are getting here at GIBS. Support from fellow students, support from faculty members, support from the supervisors. So that's very critical for me.
Is that you need to be consistent. You can't be in and out. You need to be very committed. It's a journey that you need to make sure that you set time for it. Otherwise, it gets a bit difficult along the way.
Hardest part about doing a doctoral degree is staying in the game. You will find many times all the reasons in the world as to why you should stop, and you will justify that to yourself. And it's really to overcome that, to really dig deep at times, to just say, and I think it goes back to your reason. What is the reason why you started your doctoral degree in the first place? And that's why it has to be more than a title. It has to be for something meaningful that you hopefully seek for yourself, something interesting that you want to find out, a journey that you want to follow. And so it's incredibly hard to keep staying in the game and keep your momentum and find that motivation to keep going at it, because it's a long journey. I always say it's like an ultra marathon, but the difference is that even an ultra marathon, I think the longest is 5 days. This is years and years and years that you have to stay in it. And life throws things at you, and you have to manage that. You have to stay the course with your research, even though life will throw all sorts of things your way.
Sure. I think the journey itself, because it has got a lot of different sections of the journey, and each one has its own challenges and hurdles. So, but I will say, look, I can't say one particular problem with the journey itself, because you need to come up with the topic, the research program, the proposal itself. You go through the RQC, which is very very challenging. Gathering data itself. So that I won't give you one particular answer to that. It's varied, but as I said, I really don't think it matters, because I think GIBS has got some measures in place to help one overcome such hurdles.
Well, for me, the most exciting part about my doctoral journey has been the people I've met, the level of interactions, the learning process that I've been through. It's been 6 months, but it's been a very, very impactful learning process for me.
The most exciting part of this journey has been the interesting things that you find. I think, firstly, incredible people that I've met, people that are genuine, people that have in common with you what we want to find and what we want to, I guess, find in the journey. And that's been exciting. But I think the most exciting has been sticking to your research. And I suppose the question that every doctoral student asks is a question that is very important to them. And finding those interesting answers and finding the gems, I guess is what I would call it, is what for me has been the most exciting. When you're sitting for hours and hours and hours reading documents and papers, and suddenly you get that aha moment, and you just go, that's what I've been looking for. That is the one thing that hours and hours and hours makes worthwhile. So I certainly think the research part, and especially when you get to your data and you analyzing your data and you're meeting incredible people that you would never meet otherwise, is exciting.
Look, as a businessman, it opens one's horizon. You are able to look at a particular problem and say, look, this is how the other people in another world were able to solve this particular problem, or you read about this particular challenge and you're saying, oh, this is how I can approach this matter, especially with regard to my employees. So it's very good, because one can really employ the strategies that one learns about and put them into the practice.
What I intend to do with my doctorate, of course, it will make me happy to be a doctor, but of course I need to use that to share some of my expertise in the knowledge economy, especially contribute towards the expertise knowledge in the country. So that's what I hope to do with my doctorate.
Look, I think it's two-pronged. First, it will help me with my businesses because I do have businesses that I'm running. So what I learned here will really help me in terms of how I run the businesses. But much more importantly, later on, when I don't want to run those businesses anymore, I want to go into academia. I think I can then, employ the doctorate that I would have earned.